Ready to make a real impact every day? Join the Active Day Home Care team and help clients maintain their independence in the comfort of their own homes. Make a difference in someone's life as you provide essential daily assistance and protect their health and happiness. Earn up to $20 an hour and enjoy additional perks like optional daily pay, 401k, paid time off, ongoing educational training, and more. Join a team that values care, compassion, and your professional growth. Visit activeday.com to apply.
Meet Sabrina, a straight D student with grade A sorority potential.
She French kisses much better than she speaks French.
Sisterhood forever.
Born with a silver spoon in her mouth, she'll put a knife in your back.
I guess we won't be having any more problems in French class.
And with looks that kill, she's prepared to.
I'm telling you, she's bad news, man.
Sisterhood forever, remember?
I'm warning you, Sabrina, don't blow it.
Dimension Films presents Jamie Luner, Alyssa Milano, Confessions of a Sorority Girl.
We're not talking about actors. We mean a real monster.
I brought her back. She'll live and I'll get her another body.
I know they're gonna catch me, but don't let anyone see me like that. Please, Doctor, help me!
Biologically speaking, it's of primary importance that man should want to mate. Hey, that
You don't get all your kicks from surfing, do you?
We want to be free to ride our machines without being hassled by the man. And we want to get loaded.
You think you're gonna make a slave of the world? I'll see you in hell first!
The American International Podcast.
Are you ready?
Hey, welcome to the American International Podcast. I'm Cheryl Lightfoot.
And I'm Jeff Markin.
And we are continuing our look at the Rebel Highway series on Showtime with episode number 2, Confessions of a Sorority Girl.
Confessions of a Sorority Girl originally aired on July 29th, 1994, and was written by Debra Hill and Gigi Vorgan, and directed by Uli Edel, and produced by Debra Hill, Lou Arkoff, and Willie Kuttner.
Confessions of a Sorority Girl stars Jamie Luner as Sabrina Masterson, Alyssa Milano as Rita Summers, Brian Bloom as Mort, Sadie Stratton as Tina, Danni Wheeler as Ellie, Dills-Vososff as Mrs. Billings.
Also appearing are Natalija Nogulich as Mrs. Masterson, Peter Simmons as Jimmy, Kevin Gardner as Trey, David Brisbin as Professor Leland, and Judson Mills as Joe.
And the movie opens with the song I'm Gonna Be a Wheel by Fats Domino playing as Sabrina drives her sweet convertible down the road.
It's a 59 Corvette.
It's red, too. She's smoking a cigarette, wearing gloves, period costume. This is set in the 50s. And she almost flattens a pink poodle standing in the middle of the road as the owner watches horrified. She doesn't, though. She's also giving a voiceover about how she has a bad relationship with her mother.
Yeah, her mother says that she has streaks of both evil and good in her, and kind of hinted that she's waiting to see which one is going to win.
I think there wouldn't be a movie if the good one.
Well, she says something about proving her mother wrong or something, and then veers at the last minute to avoid hitting that poodle. So I guess we're supposed to think she has a good streak in her somewhere.
Yeah, we don't see her veer, though, so we think the poodle has been...
We see her veer, but we can't tell if it veers into the poodle or away from it.
We get the strong sense that she's about to run over the dog with much glee. But in the end, we find out that the poodle's okay, reunited with her owner.
Right, Sabrina looks back and we see the owner retrieving the poodle, and they're both very happy to be alive.
They both have pink hair, too. It's cute.
So Sabrina drives on and arrives at Fillmore College. She looks at the sign, and the school's motto is, "Teach the young and set them free." But they haven't met me yet, says Sabrina.
How does that track?
I don't know.
That doesn't make sense.
I'm old and not free. Or maybe she can't be taught.
Well, she's going to imprison everybody, I guess.
She drives on a little more, and she notices a guy who catches her interest, so she stops and asks him for directions. She's looking for the ABP house.
That's American for Alpha Beta Pi. The man in the Hawaiian shirt with brilliant blue eyes is Mort, and he tells Sabrina that he likes her chassis. She invites him to take it for a spin sometime.
And she follows his directions and finds herself at the ABP house, and she's been waited for.
That's so passive. There's a celebration.
And everyone is happy to see her. They've been waiting for her.
There's a celebration going on. They have a chant. They have confetti, I think.
There's cheerleaders. There's banners. It's very, very strange, actually.
It is, because when you first arrive on campus, you're nobody in the sorority, but we'll find out there's a reason for this.
Yeah, she is a legacy. But even so, you still have to pledge usually, don't you?
Yeah, she's already got a little sister. So she meets the main cast. First, she meets Mrs. Billings, the house mother. Then Rita, the president of the sorority.
Rita introduces Tina, who is Rita's pledge. And then Rita introduces Sabrina to Ellie, who will be her pledge.
Yeah, that's the little sister thing, which I thought you had to be there for a while to have an underling. But now she already has one.
And this is also where we learn that Sabrina's sister, Julia, was a former president of this sorority. So that's why she's an instant celebrity upon her arrival.
I just want to say, Rita is played by Alyssa Milano. It's beautiful. Tina is very cute. She's a cute redhead. Ellie's kind of gawky looking. She's very skinny, tall, and kind of dorky looking. So we know that only one of these women could be competition for Sabrina. They go inside and admire Julia's picture, which is on the wall in the foyer. Sabrina says that she's nothing like her sister and jokes about being adopted.
She says she always suspected she was adopted. Everybody just stares at her and she goes, just kidding. So Rita, the president, Alyssa Milano, is going to be Sabrina's roommate. So she takes Sabrina into the room to show her around.
And it's kind of obvious that Sabrina's not going to be an easy roommate. Right away, Sabrina gets a little prickly. There's not enough space in the closet for her stuff. When Rita admires one of her dresses, Sabrina snaps that she doesn't share her clothes.
Well, it's a Coco Chanel.
Yeah, so I guess Rita's a bit of a rube who doesn't know who Coco Chanel is, even though she was an extremely famous designer much earlier than the 50s, I believe.
Yeah, but it was a funny line.
It was funny. However, Sabrina puts on a mask of niceness.
She notices a picture of Mort on the billboard across the room and asks who that is. She recognizes him because he gave her directions. Rita tells Sabrina that he's her boyfriend and he's no longer a student there. He owns a joint on the beach. Sabrina says maybe they should go there for a drink sometime. How about tonight, suggests Rita. There's a frat party at Mort's, but Sabrina says she isn't good at parties.
And then it's toga party time. The Alpha Betas are partying Greek style.
There are tiki lights up that Mort has put up especially for the party, and everyone's in togas. Or toga-like clothing.
It's a tiki bar, so aren't there tiki lights on all
I
the
don't
time?
know. He specifically said he put them up for the party.
Also, how are tiki lights Greek? Those are Hawaiian, tropical anyway. Now we see Tina. She's with her beau, and he gives her a monogram bracelet. They're official now.
Yeah, this is Jimmy, and he lets her know that this means that she's his girl. Sabrina comes in and notices Mort at the bar, and she decides to make a move.
She flirts hard, but he only has eyes for Rita. Sabrina turns around and laser focuses on her rival for Mort. Ellie eats some cake.
Yeah, Rita had just come in, and Mort immediately heads over to her, and they start to dance.
While she's standing at the bar, a guy sidles up to Sabrina. Without looking at him, she just snaps, no, and he moves on.
As they're dancing, Mort tells Rita that he's gotten into medical school. He says he'll make a great doctor, and Rita will make a great doctor's wife.
Ugh, yuck. An MRS degree for Rita.
Then a second guy comes over to Sabrina and pours some of his flask into her drink. Here, doll, he says. This'll loosen you up.
I don't think her eyes have ever left Mort and Rita this whole time. She doesn't look at him. I don't think she even blinks.
No, she just hands the guy, this is Joe, by the way. She hands him his drink back.
Tosses her cigarette in it without even looking.
And says, I don't need loosening up.
I beg to differ. She seems quite tightly wound. And she makes a beeline for Rita and Mort.
She tries to cut in, saying that this is a ladies' choice dance. But Mort says, maybe some other time. Right now, I'm dancing with my girl.
Aw, what a guy. Sabrina sees Ellie motioning to her to sit with her and decides to go torture her.
Ellie tells Sabrina not to take it personally, but Mort only dances with Rita.
And then the frat bro we saw at the bar just a second ago, this is Joe, and his friend Trey, a redhead,
who is balancing a drink on his nearly bald head.
They both come and sit beside Ellie and Sabrina, one on either side of them. They both invite Sabrina, not Ellie, to the lake next weekend, although Ellie says it's a great idea. Sabrina just asks Ellie for some of that cake that she's eating.
Sabrina asks Ellie to go get a piece, and Ellie says sure. And as she stands up, Sabrina steps on Ellie's toga, which rips to the floor,
leaving Ellie in only her underthings.
And everyone starts laughing, except for Rita, who comes to her rescue.
Mort even is laughing, so is he a good guy? The jury's still out on that. Rita helps Ellie get covered up, and then they leave. And Mort stays behind, and he and Sabrina share a look that could mean something.
Or maybe not. It's really hard to decipher the meaning of this look.
He's smiling at her, so he should be frowning. If he's a real gentleman, he wouldn't be thinking that was funny.
Yeah, and the look that she's giving him isn't any easier to read, unless you watch the whole movie through and then you can go back. But I think at the time...
I don't know. It seemed like interest. She was conveying that she was interested.
All right, I'll give you interest.
It was an intense stare.
So now we're outside of Mort's, and we see Jimmy and Tina together. They're making out.
They're on the beach. This sorority is set right on the beach. How lucky is that? And I think they go a little further than making out.
Wait, he says he loves her, and she tells him that she loves him. He says he wants her, and asks if it's okay. And she says yes.
Well, first she asks if he has one of those things in her pocket.
No, then she asks.
Oh, yeah, she agrees, and then asks if he has one of those things in his pocket.
No, I didn't plan this.
Classic. And they do it anyways.
Next scene, Sabrina is on the phone with her mama.
Yes. Mrs. Billings is eavesdropping because it's the house phone. It's not in her room or anything. At some point in the conversation, Rita uses her finger to end the phone call. So Mrs. Billings has no idea that she's not talking to her mom anymore. She does it on the sly.
So now she's talking to a dial tone.
And she asks the dial tone for permission to go to the lake next weekend with some boys. And the dial tone grants the permission.
The dial tone did not. It didn't say one way or the other.
I'm trying to be a little flowery with my description. But Mrs. Billings smiles her approval.
And when Sabrina tells the dial tone to give her love to her father and her sister as well, Mrs. Billings shares the sentiment in giving love to her sister.
Tell her I said hi. All right, so now we're at the lake. These people live on a beach, and yet they have to go to the lake to do boating. Seems a little like an unnecessary trip to me.
You have to go to a marina if you're on the ocean, so...
Yeah, that's true.
It might not be by the beach.
Maybe you can't rent a boat on the beach. But here we are.
We see Trey and another frat boy are in one boat, and Sabrina and Joe are in another. They're tooling around.
Then they decide to race.
And Sabrina convinces Joe to let her have the wheel. While racing the other boat, there's a family in a rowboat in Sabrina's path, but she's not going to let that stop her.
But Trey and the other guy let it stop them. Before they get close, they veer off. And Sabrina drives her boat past them, sprays them with water, and declares them the winner.
Oh, and she causes the woman to fall overboard.
Oh, right. And Sabrina is delighted at this turn of events, and Joe kisses her, so he's into it too.
And Joe suggests that the two of them go off somewhere to celebrate.
What could that mean? And now it's daytime, and we're in French class. Professor Leland, a sort of balding, frumpy, middle-aged professor, is leading the class in a discussion of Jean-Paul Sartre and the famous quote, "Hell is other people." That's true, by the way.
He accuses Sabrina of not having read the assignment, and she tells him that this is beneath her because she's spent many summers in France and she's fluent. But her grades don't reflect that.
She's not fluent. She says that she knows enough to get around.
Nevertheless, he has her read a passage from the novel in French, and she does an adequate job, I think, but Joe whispers to Ellie that she French kisses much better than she speaks it.
And then Rita stands up and provides the answer that the professor was looking for.
Sabrina's humiliated.
But she gives Rita the slow clap, and class is over.
Yeah, outside after class, Rita's running after Sabrina, trying to apologize.
Apologize?
She says, "I'm sorry."
But why should she apologize? She didn't do anything wrong.
Well, she made her look like an idiot, which is what...
But she was an idiot.
Which is what Sabrina accused her of.
Ugh.
Rita apologizes again and says she wants to be friends. So Sabrina says that she forgives her and says that she'd hate for them to be rivals.
I bet she would. When they get back to the sorority house, there's a letter for Rita. She sees who wrote it, and she looks at the envelope and then runs up to her room crying.
She must not get a lot of mail, says Sabrina. And Sabrina goes up to their room too and finds Rita laying on the bed, reading the letter and in tears.
Rita says that letters from her mother make her homesick. Sabrina says, unless there's a check inside, am I right? But that's not how Rita feels.
Rita gets up and locks the letter in a drawer and puts the key around her neck. And this does not escape Sabrina's attention. The next scene, we're down to the pool. This sorority has everything.
A pool, a lake, the beach. And you go to class with everyone you know, too. When I went to college, I hardly knew anybody in any class.
This is kind of the music video moment of the movie.
Oh, yeah.
Sabrina comes out walking past everybody, making sure they're looking at her.
Well, they are looking at her.
There's a group of 3 girls just sitting on the edge of the pool doing everything in unison. The frat boys are in the pool messing around as they would.
But it's sort of like everything stops when she walks past, which is weird because she's not really dressed that flashy. Alyssa Milano is gorgeous and she's wearing a bikini, but somehow when Sabrina walks in, all eyes turn to her.
This was the time when Alyssa Milano was making really bad hair choices, though.
I thought it was cute, and honestly, it kind of looks like my hair. But yeah, she's the center of attention, and of course, she loves it.
She blows a kiss to Joe as she walks by. Then she goes over to where Rita, Tina, and Ellie are hanging out. She asks about Mort, and Rita says that he's out surfing.
And then Tina, Rita, and Ellie decide that they're going to go get some iced tea and get out of Sabrina's shadow.
Well, during that whole conversation, Sabrina has her back to them and she's applying sunblock, not even looking at them as she's talking to them.
Well, she's a redhead, so she's got to have sunblock on.
Oh, yeah.
She's outside.
I wasn't saying anything about that.
In the California sun.
This is what was happening.
Sabrina gives Ellie her order and lays down on a lounge chair and closes her eyes.
You say give her order, but really she just gave an order.
I meant like Ellie was her waitress.
Yeah. Well, she's her little, so she can make her do anything that she wants.
That's how it works.
Yeah.
As she's laying there, Sabrina finds herself in the shadows, and it turns out it's her mother's.
The music stops. Everyone looks back.
Yeah, it's weird because where's the music coming from? The radio? And instantly it stops as soon as Sabrina notices her mother is there.
And everybody's head swings to look in Sabrina's direction.
Her mom looks like she's channeling Audrey Hepburn in her style choices. And somehow this gets everyone's attention. Maybe because she's an adult?
Trey even goes and grabs a chair for her so she can sit down.
Yeah. Like royalty has just arrived or something. It's like a record scratch moment.
Sabrina asks, what do I owe this pleasure? And her mother just replies with, how was the lake? Did you catch any trout?
Sabrina is busted. Her mom knows that she told Mrs. Billings that she had permission to go to the lake, and of course she didn't. And her mom accuses her of bringing shame on the family name with these antics.
And throws in a, why can't you be more like your sister?
Well, she says she wishes Sabrina was more like ... And of course, Sabrina supplies, Julia, God only gave you one perfect daughter. And her mom tells her, don't bring God into this. But anyway, there are consequences for lying and for gallivanting with boys.
Yep, Sabrina's going to have her allowance cut off. And then her mother adds that if it weren't for Julia's impeccable reputation, Sabrina never would have gotten into the school or the sorority. And if Sabrina wants respect from her, she's going to have to earn it.
As she's leaving, she tells Sabrina, don't bother using your charge accounts. Those are frozen.
Sabrina says she's trying as hard as she can, to which her mother replies, try harder.
Her mom's a bee.
Just then, Ellie returns with the iced tea, but says they had no lemon. But that's okay, Sabrina isn't thirsty anyway.
She says, can I borrow one of these? And snatches a tissue from Ellie's bathing suit top and walks off. This is a really funny moment. I don't know who dreamed this up, but it's hilarious. And the way it plays out, Ellie's face is shocked. And then Jamie Luner just plays it straight. She snatches the tissue like she knew it was there. She pulls it out and she walks off. It's such a great delivery.
Now it's night. We're back inside the sorority house, and Mrs. Billings is going around checking all the girls' rooms, make sure they're all in there for curfew. Ellie is a little frantic because her roommate Tina isn't in yet.
No, she's outside talking to Jimmy. Tina hisses for Sabrina, who opens her window. Then they both overhear Tina and Jimmy arguing. Tina's pregnant and she doesn't know what to do, and well, neither does Jimmy.
Sabrina motions to Ellie to keep quiet about this.
Yeah, zip your lip.
Mrs. Billings comes around to say goodnight to Sabrina and Rita, and then she heads toward Tina and Ellie's room. So Sabrina comes out and distracts Mrs. Billings by asking if it would be possible for her to run for sorority president. Your mother would be so proud, Mrs. Billings says, as Tina sneaks into her room in time for her curfew inspection.
Mrs. Billings goes in their room and sees Tina snug in bed and tells Ellie to turn off the light. It's curfew time. Once they're alone, Ellie admits to Tina what she overheard, and Tina wonders what she's going to do. Jimmy won't marry her, and her parents will kill her. Ellie hints that she could get rid of it, but Tina says even if she wanted to, she can't afford it.
And not even Jimmy can help because he's on a full scholarship and works 2 jobs just to buy books. Ellie knows of another place that she could possibly go. It's in Tijuana and cheaper.
And then Ellie wants to know about Tina's first time. Tina says it was her only time, and Ellie scoffs at that. Ellie said it was fine. and enjoyable even, except for the sand on the beach. It gets everywhere.
Now we find ourselves at a sorority meeting, and Ellie is presenting. She says the happiest moments of her time at the sorority were since Sabrina has arrived.
Yesterday?
Well, it's been some time because Tina got pregnant on the first night.
Oh, true.
And she knows about it now, so I'm sure a few weeks have passed.
Right.
Rita comes in and apologizes for being late, and as president, recognizes Ellie to speak. Even though she had already been doing it before, Rita showed up.
Ellie is vouching for Sabrina as a candidate for sorority president. Rita seems stunned at this news, not very happy about it.
Then Tina stands up and seconds the nomination.
So now Rita has competition for the presidency.
Rita says that Sabrina really hasn't been in the sorority very long, so this might not be right. But Ellie says that shouldn't matter, and Rita can't help but agree, so she accepts the nomination.
Mm-hmm.
And with that, the meeting was adjourned. That was it. That was the purpose of the meeting.
She must have missed a whole lot if she just got there. On the way out, Mrs. Billings warns Sabrina that she has to keep a B average if she's going to run for president.
So she better get that French grade up.
Whoa. But never fear, Sabrina has a plan for everything. And this one goes about where you'd expect it to.
Yeah, she waits around the corner from her French class, waiting for Professor Leland to leave.
It's night, all the lights are out, and there's nobody else there.
As he comes around the corner, she bumps into him and throws herself onto the floor and says she sprained her ankle.
Oh no. He helps her up, and of course she uses that opportunity to throw her whole body against him.
He helps her into his office and goes to get some ice for it.
There's a couch in his office, and she lays down.
He returns with the ice and applies it to her ankle. Sabrina apologizes for her behavior in class, and he says it's okay, he sees her potential. She tells him that she loves it when he speaks French. It's hot.
And to move that ice further up her leg.
And she starts taking off her scarf and then asks her professor if he's hot. He says oui.
I bet he is. She puts her face up against his and breathes, "Do you want me?" And of course he does.
She pulls off his hat and he runs to the door to lock it and starts taking off his clothes. While he's doing this, she grabs a camera from her purse and snaps a picture of him in his skivvies.
I don't know if that's that damning.
I guess we won't be having any more problems in French class, will we?
Au revoir.
Now we're back in the sorority house. As Sabrina walks down the hall, she stops to look at a picture of her sister and finger shoots it. Then she heads into her and Rita's room.
Yes, it's time for more mischief. She's alone there, so she jimmies the lock to Tina's desk, opens the drawer, and starts reading the hidden letters, and finds there's something juicy in them, something she can use.
Now we're back at Mort's on the beach. Rita is sitting at the bar, making eyes at Mort when Sabrina enters. Sabrina sits down next to Rita and says something about her mother buying a fancy dress for the mother-daughter tea coming up next week.
And will Rita's mom be attending? She asks innocently. Mort says that it's weird. He's never met Rita's mom.
Rita is silent, then excuses herself. Sabrina follows Rita into the restroom. "What do you want, Sabrina?" Rita says. "I want you to drop out of the race, Rita. Unless you want everyone to know about your mother, the jailbird."
Ooh.
Rita says that she will not let Sabrina blackmail her. "Fine," says Sabrina. "Mort!" Then Rita caves. She'll do it. She just asks for time to back onto the race gracefully.
And now it's the next day or some other day. Sabrina's driving her convertible back home. She pulls up to her family's palatial home. Her mom's coming out, and Sabrina takes this opportunity to brag to her mother that she's going to be the sorority president, and she's acing French class.
She says she's been working on French after school, and she and her professor have an understanding.
They sure do.
But her mother says that her father is off to London, and her mother has decided to go along. 10 days in the Savoy was just too good a deal to pass up. Sabrina tells her that means that she'll miss the mother-daughter tea, and that's where they'll be announcing the sorority president.
Her mother gives a perfunctory apology, then climbs in her car to be driven off to the airport. It might be a Rolls Royce, but I don't know for sure. It's one of those fancy rich people cars of the era.
So next, Sabrina drives to Mort's.
Yep, she's going back to mess with more lives.
It's early, and he's not really open yet, but he asks if he can get her something.
Sabrina says she needs a friend, and Mort offers her a soda.
He tells her that she might find if she's nice to people, they might be more accepting of her. Just then, Trey comes in with a gang of kids and asks Sabrina if she wants to join them. Sabrina asks where Rita is. Mort says Rita's visiting her mother. "Oh, they allow visitors there? What are you talking about?" says Mort. And Sabrina explains that Rita's mother is in jail for murder. She mowed down a guy in the car. Trey points out that, well, Sabrina, you almost mowed down a whole family out in the lake. And she kind of laughs at this. They don't give you 8 to 10 for that.
Don't they? It's still vehicular manslaughter.
Not for almost mowing them down.
Oh, I see. Well, I think the potential was there to have killed the whole family, kid included.
Trey's a little disgusted, so he takes his gang outside.
Mort lectures Sabrina. You wonder why you don't have any friends.
And he goes out too, and Sabrina's left alone to ponder this.
Yeah, I think Mort is getting close to being on Sabrina's enemies list. It's night now, and we're in Tina and Ellie's room. Tina comes in. She was supposed to be at a day trip to see her parents, but that's not where she went. She went to Tijuana. Ellie goes to sit on Tina's bed to comfort her, but Tina confesses that she couldn't go through with it. Ellie says that's okay, and promises to find her some help.
She suggests maybe Sabrina can help, but Tina doesn't want anyone else to know about this. She asks Ellie if Sabrina knows, and Sabrina says that she hasn't told Sabrina anything. Which is true.
Yeah, not technically a lie. And now we have a soap opera moment where Sabrina comes out of the house and hides behind a pillar to overhear Mort tell Rita that he doesn't care about her mom being in jail. It doesn't change how he feels about her. And then Rita tells Mort what a jerk Sabrina is. Mort tells her what happened that afternoon, how everyone left Sabrina in the bar alone after she blabbed Rita's secret.
Rita says she's sorry she missed that. Mort kisses her, and he starts to get a little gropey.
Yeah, his hand's on her boob. Mort warns Tina that he's tired of waiting. He won't be put off forever. It's kind of jerky thing to do. Is it someone you intend on marrying someday?
She makes him stop and goes inside. So Sabrina decides she's going to drive over to Mort's to try to comfort him.
Well, she pretends she's just there for a beer.
And she goes in and says, is it closing time or can a girl still get a beer? He tells her to make it a quick one. Drink up, it's late. And she tells him we have all the time in the world. I like you, Mort. Do you like me?
Mort asks Sabrina, why is she always torturing Rita? Sabrina says it's because she's interested in Mort, and she's jealous of Rita.
Sabrina walks over to the jukebox and picks a slow song and says, dance with me, Mort. I can't do that, he says. Don't tell me you're not that kind of boy. Then she tells him, I want you, all the way. She
puts on the full court press with the promise of a happy ending for Mort.
She kisses him and he reciprocates.
And then they do it on a table.
Now it's morning at the sorority house. Sabrina wakes up and finds that Rita is getting ready for the day.
She's packing up supplies for a day trip with Mort.
She says they're going on a bike ride. I don't think so, says Sabrina. He was with me until very late last night. Go ask him.
Rita doesn't know how to take this. So Sabrina has to be a little more explicit. She had sex with Mort, and he's a fabulous lover. Too bad she doesn't know that. Rita's still not hearing it, so she has to say explicitly that she fucked his brains up.
A horn honks outside, which means Mort's there. So Sabrina says to go ask him if she doesn't believe her.
Rita runs outside, and Sabrina, wearing only her bedclothes and a filmy robe, follows.
Rita confronts Mort, and he says he's sorry and hopes Rita can forgive him. But it doesn't look like she's going to. She slaps him and goes inside. Since he's free now, Sabrina asks if he'd like to do something with her today.
But Mort snarls that Sabrina is the worst mistake that he ever made. It's not getting him off the enemies list.
Now we're on the beach for kind of a strange scene. Joe is running top speed along the shoreline.
And not just a few paces. He's going from like one beach to another at bionic man speed. He's like a heat-seeking missile aimed for Mort, who's just coming out of the surf with his surfboard.
He reaches Mort and immediately decks him. Sabrina, man, she said she couldn't even stop you, man. She's my girl.
Mort tries to tell Joe that it was Sabrina doing the sexing, but Joe still wants to fight. And then they're in the surf, and both of them almost drown. They swallow a lot of water, at least.
Mort tells Joe that Sabrina is evil. Joe doesn't believe that she would lie to him about something like this, but Mort insists that he loves Rita.
And then Mort says that he's sorry he didn't rape Sabrina. I think there maybe should have been a pause in there somewhere. Sabrina's watching all this, by the way. She's sitting in her car watching them fight and then make up.
So now they're friends again. They walk back to their beach chairs and sit down to look at the ocean together.
It's kind of funny how they go sit in those deck chairs on the beach together. They just sort of flop down in them. They've got umbrellas over them.
Mm-hmm.
I'm surprised they weren't drinking Mai Tais out of coconuts.
Sabrina just kind of glares at them and then puts her sunglasses back on and drives off. That evening, Tina is sitting in the window,
moping.
feeling sorry for herself, and Sabrina opens the window to her room right next door and speaks with her. She says she hasn't seen Jimmy around. Tina asks her what she's talking about, and Sabrina confesses that she heard them talking that night, and she knows everything. Sabrina says that Tina's secret is safe with her, and asks if she's told her parents yet. Tina says that she tried the Mexico thing, but couldn't go through with it. Sabrina says that she knows a doctor, but he's expensive.
He's a good one that her parents know, so it's not some back alley clinic.
But it's going to take some money. Does she have any? Tina doesn't. And Sabrina says she would lend her the money, but her allowance was cut off. But Sabrina also says that she can help her. But to do so, Tina will have to do exactly as she says. And that means saying that Mort is the father. And the reason is because he has all that money saved up for medical school, and they can use that. And he's the only one that they know with money.
They're a bunch of broke college students. We hear Rita entering Sabrina's room, so Sabrina shuts her window so she can go mess with Rita. Rita's packing to move out of her room, and Sabrina twists the knife a little more by alleging that Mort also had sex with Tina. Rita can't believe that. Tina's just his waitress. Sabrina says that Tina's pregnant, and, well, guess who the father is?
Sabrina asks what does she think that they do after closing? Wash the glasses? In the next scene, Mrs. Billings, the house mother of the sorority, is informing Tina that she is being expelled.
Seems like a really odd use of her authority. Tina says that it's not her fault what happened to her, but it doesn't matter. They simply cannot have a pregnant girl on campus. It might affect the college's donations.
It sets a bad example for the other students as well. She does say that first.
It's all about the money with them, you know it.
Mrs. Billings tells Tina that her parents have been notified, and Tina leaves the office in tears, which Sabrina sees.
She's everywhere. I don't know how she has time to do all this blackmailing and scheming, but I had a lot of extracurriculars in college, so it can be done. And now in a scene, one of many that closely resemble the original movie Sorority Girl, Tina's at the beach, running up to the top of a cliff. She's gonna jump.
But we see that Sabrina has followed her. Tina looks down and sees that it's a really long jump.
With a lot of rocks at the bottom. She would never survive.
She takes off the bracelet that Jimmy gave her. But just then, Sabrina comes and tackles her and throws her to the ground.
For a second there, it looked like she would either intentionally or unintentionally knock her over. But that's not part of the plan.
The reason is that they can't blackmail Mort if she jumps.
Right. And Mort is a real victim here. Tina's just the weapon.
Tina says that she can't stay here and she can't go home. So Sabrina says that they can go to a new town and start over. And they can go together. But that will take money. And where will they get it?
They got to stick to the original plan and go see Mort. So now it's some night later, and Mort has already been the recipient of a blackmail letter. Tina comes there to meet him. She asks if he has the money, and Mort points out the envelope in his shirt pocket. But Mort insists that he never touched her.
He asks Tina why she's doing this to him. And she says, "I'm not doing anything to you. You're the father of my baby." Mort says he's going to give her the money either way. Just tell him the truth. It's Jimmy's baby, isn't it? She's hesitant to take the envelope, but then he tells her that she can think of it as a loan. And she accepts it, and then admits that it is indeed Jimmy's baby.
And implicates Sabrina in the plot to blackmail Mort. Tina leaves with her envelope, and Mort reveals to us his reel-to-reel equipment. He was taping the whole exchange.
Now it's daylight again, and we're back on the beach.
It's a sorority election rally of some kind.
There are banners there for both candidates.
Yeah, Rita didn't have to drop out because that blackmailing her didn't work. Well, actually, Sabrina kind of pulled the plug on that one.
Ellie goes over to Rita and tells her that she knows that Tina is lying about the father of the baby. It isn't Mort's. It's actually Jimmy's.
Rita looks over to the bar where Mort's working outside. And it looks like she's kind of rethinking her anger at Mort.
She heads over in that direction, and Sabrina notices she's headed in that direction and decides to follow.
Now we're back at the sorority house. Tina's in her room packing to go, and Mrs. Billings comes in to tell her that she has a special visitor outside. Not her parents. Tina runs outside and finds that Jimmy's there. Jimmy is repentant. He shouldn't have run away like that, and he asks her to marry him.
Back at Mort's, we're in the back room, and Mort is playing that tape for Rita. Sabrina comes in as it's playing.
Just in time to hear the part where Tina implicates her.
The tape ends, and Rita's like, "Okay, but you still slept with Sabrina though, right?" Mort says that was a mistake. Meanwhile, Sabrina has grabbed a bat from the wall and comes and smacks Mort across the back of the head with it.
Yeah, she goes apeshit. She clobbers Mort, and then she goes after Rita. She ends up smashing the tape recorder. And she tries to hit Rita, but she doesn't do it. However, they start wrestling, grappling. And Sabrina backs Rita into a shelf with a bunch of canned goods on it. She's smashing her head into the shelf, and the whole thing eventually topples over, burying Rita.
Then Sabrina runs out and padlocks the door of the storeroom behind her. Then she grabs some bottles of booze and starts pouring them around the bar. She's going to set it on fire.
Yeah, she lights that 90-proof puddle, and the place is soon ablaze. Sabrina looks at it for a second and then legs it. When she's out on the beach, she bumps into Jimmy and Tina. She tells them the bar's on fire, and she's going for help.
But Jimmy hears people yelling inside. Though Tina tries to stop him, he busts in to play the hero.
And Sabrina has to hold Tina back because she was about to follow him in.
A crowd starts gathering around.
Ellie rushes up to Sabrina and starts shrieking that Rita's in there and that she saw Sabrina follow her in, loud enough for everyone to hear.
Inside the burning bar, Jimmy makes his way through the flames and starts trying to break that lock. From outside, we see the roof collapse in. Tina's a little distraught. Her fiancé's in there.
She screams. Sabrina starts to think that maybe she's going to get away with this after all. But then an injured Rita, Mort, and Jimmy stumble out, coughing up smoke.
Just before the building explodes.
Yeah, in a blaze of alcohol. And then really loud music starts blaring as we can't hear it, but Ellie is mouthing to Trey, Joe, Tina, Jimmy that Sabrina is evil and she's responsible for all this.
Yeah, they're comparing notes.
Yep, everyone's on the same page finally. And they start glaring at Sabrina, and a bunch of the kids start walking towards her.
She starts backing up toward the surf. And the police arrive.
They're very well-dressed cops. They have their dress blues on. There's no action from the fire department, though.
Ellie points out Sabrina to one of the officers, and they start heading toward her, too. Sabrina kneels down in the water, and the scene fades to black.
And then there's credits, and that's the end. Welcome back to the American International Podcast, where we're talking about Confession of a Sorority Girl, Rebel Highway, episode number 2 from 1994.
Based on the 1957 movie Sorority Girl, the film's title was subsequently changed to Confessions of Sorority Girls for its dimensioned home video release.
Producer Lou Arkoff told Patricia Brennan of the Washington Post that he was fascinated with Confessions of a Sorority Girl, set in 1957, because it's directed by Uli Edel. It's a wonderment to me, says Arkoff. Edel grew up in the Black Forest of Germany, lived in a monastery, but he does the most quintessential American movie.
The home video release was rated R.
Did it look like an R-rated movie to you?
It didn't. There was one F-bomb, which shouldn't have been enough to give it an R rating.
Right. No, there was 2, because when they were fighting in the surf, Joe yells at Mort that he knows he fucked Rita. So they do say it more than once.
Okay.
I wouldn't have known without the closed captions, but he does say that. But still, yeah, there's no nudity. There's only cartoon violence, honestly. So I don't know why an R rating would be necessary. Maybe it was just to make it look more salacious than it really is.
That's probably the case.
Ken Tucker of Entertainment Weekly said in his review, much weaker is the July 29th Rebel Highway entry Confessions of a Sorority Girl, in which alluring but evil Sabrina, Jamie Luner, joins a 50s college sorority and proceeds to ruin the lives of virtually everyone around her. The problem with the script by Gigi Vorgan and producer Debra Hill is that Sabrina is such a cartoonishly deceitful tramp, you won't believe for a minute that she could make friends with all the girls and seduce all the boys.
Well, she didn't really make friends with any of the girls, did she?
No, not really. Well, Tina. She made Tina believe that she was friends with her, that she was on her side. She's good at faking it.
They follow the same trajectory as the original film.
Yeah, we'll talk more about that in a bit.
Nathan Rabin of the AV Club wrote, the film gets off to a rip-roaring start, with Edel and screenwriters Debra Hill and Gigi Vorgan taking wicked glee in orchestrating Luner's enjoyably mean-spirited antics. But the film goes quickly downhill from there, as Luner's behavior progresses from deliciously bitchy to merely mean and calculating. By the time Luner resorts to seducing Milano's boyfriend and a leering professor, Girls has lost its way, resembling less a campy 50s-style B-movie than a Poison Ivy-style sleazefest dressed in period drag.
Variety's review said, Confessions of a Sorority Girl catapults women back to the 50s, when they were depicted as either whore or Madonna, or in a perfect world, both. This Showtime offering, which fails as kitsch or even hyper-soap drama, is more a back smash than a backlash. I love rhyming things, Variety. The unsettling thing is that seems to be the point. With the exception of Bloom, who seems flown in from some other far better flick, the acting is so hollow you could beat the cast with a stick and use it as a percussion section. All right, Jeff. We've read some reviews, but it's time to give our opinions of Confessions of a Sorority Girl. What'd you think of it?
I was surprised to see that this one followed the original so closely.
Yeah, they weren't supposed to do that. That was in the mission statement.
Well, I think they were encouraged to do differently, but it wasn't a requirement.
Right. However, this one takes so much from the original. It's even set on the same beach, I think.
It looks like the same beach. It looks like Malibu Beach.
There are a few different flourishes. There obviously wasn't a murder attempt in Sorority Girl. But apart from that and a few other things, it follows all the beats almost exactly.
Right, except Ellie didn't get spanked.
Yeah, I guess they couldn't figure out a way to fit that in the plot. I think that was a decision made by the writers and the producers to appeal to men. It just seems like something that was made for a different audience than Sorority Girl was aimed at. And I guess I couldn't think of any reason to put that in this movie.
I don't know, were you surprised at how closely this followed the original?
I would have been had I not done the research ahead of time and read about what was going to happen in this movie. I did have some foreknowledge, but yeah, I didn't expect them to have almost everything be the same.
Even the names of the characters, except in the original, it's Sabra, which I guess could be short for Sabrina.
Maybe. Susan Cabot played Sabra in Sorority Girl, and Sabra makes me think of saber, kind of a blade slashing through everything, and that's how Sabra was in that movie. So I don't know if they maybe just wanted a more recognizable name for this. I don't know.
I'm sure that's it. I never thought of Sabra as being short for Sabrina.
Well, they're very close in how they're spelled.
I never made the connection, though, until this character was named Sabrina and said, oh, that's like a longer Sabra. Okay.
Yeah, I don't think it was necessarily short for Sabrina because I think your mother would have called her that when she went to see her mom.
Well, let's talk about some of the things that were different. Something they threw into this one was the relationship that Sabrina had with her sister. We never saw it, but Sabra didn't have any siblings.
Right. They used the sister envy in this movie to kind of explain everything. We don't know why Sabra in Sorority Girl was so evil. We know that her mom is a stone cold bitch. And Sabrina's mom is a stone cold bitch. But that doesn't really give you license to try to kill people or blackmail, all the other stuff that both characters did. So there has to be something else driving this insanity. Even the sisterly jealousy doesn't seem like enough to make Sabrina or Sabra the terror that she is. But that's all we have.
Right. And I think that for a more modern audience, that they might have seen that as a requirement. Let's try to explain why this is the way it is.
They should have explained it even better, though, in the 1994 version.
Well, they didn't explain it at all in the first one, so.
That's true. I don't know, maybe some people are just born bad. She had to have been bad before, but she's very good at masking it. She can play nice to Mrs. Billings. When she went back to see her mom, she's putting on the smiley face, telling her how good she's doing. And, you know, can I get your approval now? And she doesn't. I don't know if she gets her funds reinstated. Doesn't seem like it. Her mom doesn't care. She wants her to be good, but there's no reward in it for her.
Another difference is in the original, when Sabra goes after Mort, it's because he doesn't respond to her advances.
Well, at first, Mort didn't respond to Sabrina's advances, even though they do seem to have a little interest in each other. He puts her off every time, until the last time.
When they're alone that night and things actually happen, but then it's after that that he spurns her.
Well, he wouldn't dance with her.
Right, but then they had sex.
No, I meant in the initial scene where he first meet her, and he won't let her cut in on Rita. I think that's what drives the whole jealousy thing, because someone said no to her.
Oh, I think you're right about that, yeah.
Not that it explains trying to kill them. Things really escalated from that one refusal. And she could have had any guy. She's gorgeous. She's charming when she wants to be. But no, one guy said no to her.
Joe liked her.
Joe.
Joe didn't mind that she nearly mowed down a family on a boat.
No, I think that turned him on.
Yeah, he likes bad girls.
He doesn't like murderers, though. So that's Joe's line in the sand, literally. What were some other differences besides the end scene?
Well, when Tina goes to the cliff to jump off, that happens at the end, and it's Mort who comes to her rescue.
Right, and seeing how Sabra almost drove this girl to suicide is what turns everyone against Sabra finally.
Right, and in the Rebel Highway version, no one even knows about it except Sabrina.
Their names should have been much more different because it's confusing. Probably confusing to whoever's listening too. But yeah, that scene is just another moment for Sabrina to get her blackmail plan in progress.
Right. They just need another reason because everybody knows that Tina's pregnant now. Before it was to get an abortion and keep this quiet. But now that's out in the open. Her parents know.
Right. So they just need money now.
So now they just need money. Yeah.
For a second there, I thought that the plan was going to be convince everyone that Mort raped her so that her parents could take her back, knowing that it wasn't her fault, that she's pregnant. That's kind of where I thought that was going.
Well, they didn't really say it as explicitly in this one as in the original. But the reason that Sabra wants to blackmail Mort is because her allowance was cut off. She needs the money.
Right.
Because she has a lifestyle to uphold.
But here, Sabrina is not going to get any of that money.
Well, we don't know that. She is. She's going to take a share.
Yeah,
but they don't explicitly say that. But that's her reason for helping.
Right. And then, of course, the end scene is different.
Oh, yeah. There was no fire in the first.
There was no murder attempt in the first. It was only sort of a passive attempt to kill Tina by driving Tina to the point of wanting to kill herself. But Tina had her own problems there and in this movie, too, that led her to the cliffside. But yeah, this just completely jumps from cartoonishly evil to straight up evil. When she grabs that bat and attacks, Sabra would never.
Oh, I don't know about that. She might have gotten to that point.
Well, she did paddle Ellie, so she's not unwilling to hit people with a wooden implement. But to bash somebody over the head, I don't think so.
I don't know. I could see her getting driven to that point.
Well, given how easily both characters give up at the end by just kneeling in the surf, I don't know. They only have so much fight in them.
Well, that's another difference because in the remake, Sabrina just has nowhere to go. She's caught. The cops are coming and she knows that she's going down. In the original, she's in the surf and everybody just leaves her there.
Yeah.
She's shunned by society.
Right. She can't go back.
She's not going to jail. She's got nowhere to go.
Right. She can't. Everyone knows what she's up to, and she has no one that she can even scheme to help her.
And the remake couldn't have as satisfying as an ending as the original unless she went into the water and drowned herself.
I wanted her to do that. That would have been so much better. Here, it just kind of flatly ends, and it's unsatisfying. It was unsatisfying to me, at least.
No, it was. I think that would have been a much more powerful and appropriate ending to see that poetic justice.
Mm-hmm. And we don't know that she would die. I think that just have her swim into the sunset as the scene fades to black would have been much more effective. We don't know what's going to happen to her. She'll probably get washed back up eventually, dead or alive. But she's doing something. She's not just moping in the surf.
Right. It worked in the original because everybody just walked away.
The consequences were actually more dire. I mean, Sabrina's rich. Her parents would probably get her a good lawyer and get her off. That's what happens to rich people. There are no consequences, historically speaking.
Do you think that the violent upgrades that appeared in the remake were necessary for a more modern audience?
I wouldn't say necessary. When I was watching this movie, it really reminded me of Melrose Place. I know you haven't seen that, but I was a dedicated fan of the 90s version of that.
Well, half the cast was in this movie.
Yeah. Well, Alyssa Milano and Jamie Luner both played characters on Melrose Place. And this movie seems to have taken the Sorority Girl script, injected it with the bombast of Melrose Place plotline, and just taken it from there. It's so over the top. And I actually love that about Melrose Place. I used to work at a CW affiliate, and I would have to watch all the new shows that came on so I could help promote them. And they did a remake of Melrose Place with some of the same characters, but it was so dull. Nobody was evil. The original was so deliciously evil. It was fun to watch. It was hysterical at times and compelling for that reason. And this reminded me of that. And that's why I liked watching it, though I'm disappointed at the ending. I enjoyed it because of that Melrose Place feel I got from it. So I think the fire scene was a little over the top, but I mean, that would have happened on Melrose Place.
Another difference is because of the original, which was directed by Roger Corman, being shot in black and white, and this one in very, very bright color. The costumes are all very brightly colored. The clothes that Jamie Luner's character wears, she wears a lot of like tropical oranges and peach and bright colors.
Mm-hmm. Well, she's a redhead, and it's pretty fitting for her look. But yeah, everything is so stylish and colorful. The sun is always shining. It's bright and beautiful.
Rita's always wearing white.
I think that kind of took away from the darkness that you would feel watching Sorority Girl. That movie was much darker than this one, even though this one had the murder attempt. It came off as more campy and silly. than dark. So yeah, the color added something, but I don't know if it's a good thing. But it was nice to look at.
And the music here too, I think maybe it was an assignment to use period pop music, whereas the original just had the Ronald Stein score.
Yeah, I think it does add to the scene. The only music I didn't care for was the bombastic theme playing while everyone was sitting on the beach figuring out how evil Sabrina was. We don't hear them talking, we just hear the loud music blaring.
Yeah, you didn't like it in Black Caesar either when they did something very similar to that.
No, even though that was not a consequential conversation.
Well, it would have been if they used the original ending and he died, but we're not talking about that movie right now.
No. But that's just some kids talking to the character. We don't know what they're bantering about. It doesn't really matter. But here, something very substantial is being communicated, but for some reason we can't hear it.
I think it was just supposed to seem more dramatic to have them all realizing as a group that Sabrina is not a really good person.
Yeah, I have to agree with you because when Joe stands up and then whatever he's mouthing, he's doing it very slowly so that we can tell that he's saying what he is. I forget what he said, but you can read his lips.
Sabrina started the fire.
Oh, right. Sabrina started the fire. Yeah, he says that very slowly so you can tell.
So us non-lip readers can maybe figure out what he's saying.
We did figure it out. All right, so let's each give a rating to Confessions of a Sorority Girl, the remake, using our AIP scale where A is awesome, I is intermediate, and P is pathetic.
Well, as I recall, I gave the original Sorority Girl an A. I thought it was a really good story, and this is the same story with just a few flourishes here and there. And while I don't think they necessarily rose the story to any new levels, it didn't hurt it either. So this one's also going to be an A. It's entertaining. It's a fun way to spend 90 minutes to hang out with someone who's this evil. So it's an awesome movie. How do you rate it?
The same. And for the reason that I mentioned before, it's got that Melrose Place vibe. I really miss that show. It was so fun every Monday night watching this crazy stuff happen. It was always over the top. You were never bored watching this, and I wasn't bored watching this movie. And the production values are so stylish. It's enjoyable on the eyes. And the cartoonish evil, the campiness, it makes it a lot of fun. You can't take it too seriously, obviously. I do wish the ending had been the dramatic ending that I mentioned of her swimming off into the surf. That would have been great. But they're trying to keep it like the original. Maybe they should have veered off, made that another exception to the original script. But it is what it is. And I still really liked it. It's an A.
One thing that this movie didn't have that we did see in Road Racers was the little Easter egg to AIP. They had the posters in the movie theater, unless you count the whole movie as an Easter egg since it's almost a direct remake.
They did dedicate the movie to James H. Nicholson and Lou Russoff at the end. So maybe that's it.
It's not really an Easter egg.
I wouldn't call it an Easter egg, but it is a nod to the original. And they do confess that the movie is based on the original Sorority Girl and credit the original movie's writers, director.
They confess to that, huh? I'd like to see him deny it.
Yeah, they'd never find a lawyer to take that case.
So to find out more about the Rebel Highway series and the films that we review on the American International Podcast, you can visit our website at aippod.com. There you can watch trailers, see examples of posters and advertising paraphernalia. Contact us to let us know which movies you'd like to hear us review. And there's a link to our store where you can find our merch. Buying a t-shirt or coffee mug will help us to make the podcast the best it can be. Again, that's aippod.com.
Well, I must confess that it's time to go. For the American International Podcast, I'm Cheryl Lightfoot.
I'm Jeff Markin.
And we'll meet you at the drive-in.
Follow the American International Podcast on Instagram and Letterboxd at AIP_pod and on Facebook at facebook.com/American International Podcast.
The American International Podcast is produced and edited by Jeff Markin.
A man whose mind is distorted by hatred.
And Cheryl Lightfoot.
A girl hungry for too many things.
The American International Podcast is part of the Pop Culture Entertainment Network.